will now order. Clerk Strickland, are you ready? You ready? Okay, open meeting for August 26, 2025 at 6:00 PM will now come to order. At this time, Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Here.
Councilwoman At this time, Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll? Here.
There's a fake Ella lip syncing.
Is that?
I might need to mute both of those.
Okay, let's try that again. Councilwoman Noah. Here. Councilwoman Covington.
Here.
Councilman Cassoff.
Here.
Councilman Franklin.
Here.
Councilman Palmer.
Here.
Councilman Williams.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here, a quorum is present. I believe after several emails, this meeting has come to about. The first item on this new business is official statement to public regarding the incident from the July meeting. Councilman Franklin, you wanted this meeting. I think these are the items that you put on the agenda.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
not correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So as an official statement, after talking to the city manager and the police chief, there was no need for an official statement. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, ma'am. So as the councilman for Ward 2, I got a lot of feedback from residents within the community over the last month asking for an official statement from the council regarding the events. Most of you, well, the council knows and the community know that I did go on the record and ask for the resignation of Councilman Williams based off of his conduct at our last meeting and over the last year. Did not expect him to resign, but I thought I needed to go on the record with where I stood. And I just thought it was prudent as a council for us to have an official statement, whether it was any sanctions, condemning the behavior of all parties involved, but just to remain mute and sweep it under the rug. That's not what my constituents wanted. So that's why I asked my council if we wanted to prepare some type of statement.
Councilman Cassoff.
I'm also a counselor from Ward 2, and I talk to residents every day. I hear about potholes, I hear about speed bumps. I haven't had a single person talk to me and say, I'd really like council to make an official statement about what happened at the July meeting. I honestly think that dragging this out and dragging this on is doing nothing but adding more news cycles to the same story. We all know what happened last month. We all have our opinions about why it happened. There's not going to be any agreement among council in terms of the outcome. My colleague from Ward 2 has called for Mr. Williams to resign. Some of us view Mr. Williams as more of a victim in this situation. So I don't see the point. I think we need to just work together and move on.
Councilwoman Noah.
I agree. We do need to work together. We definitely need to do that. I will say that I did ask in an email, I asked Councilman Williams to apologize to the community for the simple fact that when he gave the middle finger, he just didn't give it to the person that was intended for. It was to the entire community. And I have had residents call me, I've had people call me from out of town asking, why would he do that? We understand, we all get frustrated, and he's human too. He has every right to get frustrated. I won't take that away from him. However, you still have to control yourself, and it's not okay to give anyone the middle finger because you're upset. So all I'm asking, and he doesn't have to do it, of course, he doesn't have to listen to me, is just for a simple apology to the community so we can move forward. It's not going to hurt to apologize. Thank you.
Councilman Franklin, did we move on?
So as your councilman, I'll go ahead and I'll apologize to the community at large on behalf of this council. And I'm doing that because what I saw and what I've been getting the feedback is we all embarrass the city, and specifically Black people in this city. When people see us from outside, they see a council that's majority African American. They see a community that's majority African American. And what they saw on the news media, on YouTube, was that, hey, you see what happens when you put them in positions of authority, of leadership. They can't work together, and you get chaos. And so personally, I was embarrassed, and I stepped out of line as well. It wasn't captured on tape, but I had a back and forth with one of my fellow council members after the meeting had ended, which actually is a violation of our code of conduct as elected officials. So I believe in accountability, not just for my opponents, but also for myself and those that support me. So I will apologize on behalf of this entire council, and I'm dedicated to us doing better and working as a unit and following the rules that we have in place, not just for the community, but for elected officials as well. That's all I got.
Well, now you have a part B, potential consequences of actions of council and residents.
Okay. So I floated the idea to council about amending the code of conduct for basically, so our code of conduct currently addresses the behavior of residents when you guys come to these meetings. And so I thought it might be prudent to have something that prevents police intervention. If you all watched the Wesley Bell Town Hall last week, you saw a lot of chaos. You saw a lot of disruption, and then you also saw police officers physically assaulting residents. Now,
That is not a true statement. I was there and I saw everything.
So perception is reality. So I was not there, but I did watch the Facebook live streams, and the way some of those individuals were handled by law enforcement, somebody's suspended now, pending an investigation. My point is, no matter if you think it was assault or them just doing their due diligence, I don't want that to happen to Ferguson because of the optics. So if we could put something in place to prevent law enforcement from having to physically remove an individual that repeatedly breaks protocol and procedure, I think it would be beneficial if we did that. So I've already passed out some handouts to residents for you to review it, because again, I serve you. If you think it's a good idea, if you think there's a better way, read over it, review it, share that information with us. We've actually gotten some good ideas that were submitted to council over the last month of ways we can do better when we have unruly situations. But so that's kind of where I lie on that. I don't want police intervention, and that should be the last resort. It shouldn't be the go-to when someone doesn't. We're all adults. It's not the mayor's job to have self-control over your individuals, including the council. We should give her the same respect we would want for ourselves. And when she tells us to stand down, we should do that. And so I don't know, you get a lot of blame, Mayor, for everything that happens in these meetings. And I just think this potential amendment to our code of conduct can relieve some of that stress that you have on your shoulders as well.
City manager, after you, I will speak. City manager.
Yeah, I noticed one of the suggestions was to have the assistant city manager to come in and help settle things down. The thing I have an issue with is David is not, or myself, have not had that de-escalation training to the extent of police. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't get it, But in reality, the police have been trained in de-escalation, and that's one of the things that consent decree, and I believe they can do that job very well.
In addition to that, during the protests right after the fatal shooting of Michael Brown, this council chambers had become a hellhole. Nobody wanted to be in these chambers. So the council at that time was forced to put in a meeting decorum bill. And in that bill, it says, if anyone gets out of hand or unruly, the police will come up and escort them out. The reason why I have not enforced that bill, because I have been trying to give people an opportunity to act their age and not act like we are in high school. On several occasions in February, over at the community center, there were some words passed between a council person and a resident, and all of a sudden the council person was the one who was at fault, and the council person really was not the one who was at fault. All this has been adding up, and that bill is already in place. When you hear the gavel, point of order, your name is called, you persistent on moving and talking when you don't respect the gavel, it becomes the mayor's responsibility to talk to the city manager. The council cannot direct staff. We can only direct who we hire. That is the city manager and the city clerk. The mayor will direct the city manager to direct his staff to have somebody move. No, they don't put their hands on you. If there is a problem, we always have mediation. Ferguson pays for mediation. If you feel like you have a grievance or you dislike somebody, you can always call the mayor or the city manager, and we will have mediation for you. The code of conduct, as it is written, that is a bill, has been followed to the law. Some people says that David and whomever needs to be impeached. Our charter, the law, does not state for an impeachment. The only law that we can follow at this time is a recall. We will not do a recall. Citizens can do a recall, but what grounds? Because somebody got mad or somebody did this? That's not moral turpitude to recall Councilman Williams. The law is being followed to the T. If you want to read this, I've done my due diligence. I called Councilman David and we talked. That's what the law says. We do not have any place in the charter to reprimand, only we can recall, and there are no grounds to recall Councilman David. Yes, his actions are unexcusable. However, it takes two. He didn't argue by himself. He didn't even start the argument. A person said something out of turn. When the charter provides that in a meeting, we have public comments. Anybody who signs up for public comments has an opportunity to stand at that podium for 3 minutes, say what you gotta say, and move. The council has been instructed ever since I've been on council from 2015 not to go back and forth when a person comes up for public comments. The charter provides that council has a miscellaneous. They have the right to speak during a miscellaneous. When that person is speaking during miscellaneous, the council person, just like they gave the person who was standing up there for 3 minutes the amount of respect, every council member up here is due the same amount of respect. Is their emotions high? Emotions run high. Everybody don't control their emotions like me. I do understand that. But to get on Facebook and dog each other out, that's high school. That is not professional. We have other pending things in this city that needs our attention instead of keep going back to July 22nd and rehashing everything. So Councilman Cassoff asked to speak, you can speak.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to reiterate what the mayor has said. You know, when I started on council last year, you know, the mayor disagreed with me on some things and we went back and forth every now and then, but it was done with respect. And ultimately, I work with Mayor Jones. Mayor Jones works with me. You know, she probably wouldn't endorse me if I was running for governor, but you know, I'm not, so it's not an issue. And what I would say, especially to the people out there who don't like me, I think most of you like Mayor Jones.
No, they don't.
Well, maybe they don't today, but they did yesterday. And you don't understand, perhaps, that when you repeatedly bring this meeting into disorder, you're not disrespecting David Williams. You're disrespecting Mayor Jones because she's the one charged with maintaining order here. The rest of us are just bystanders in a situation like that. And I think David probably now wishes he had just sat there and kept his mouth shut. And you'll probably hear from him later on about that. I've been around a little longer and I'm a little bit better at keeping my mouth shut than some people, but look, if nothing else, let's respect the chair of the meeting. And let's do the right thing here. As far as the code of conduct is concerned and amending the code of conduct, we're all familiar with the story of the arsonist firefighter. There's some people that join fire departments and then they go light fires so that they can come in and put the fire out and be the hero. And the fact of the matter is, the disorder that has happened in the meetings this year was with the followers of a particular member of council, the supporters of him. And it didn't happen like this last year. And now he is proposing to amend the code of conduct. I'm going to say this. If you do what the code of conduct says, there's not going to be any problems around here. If the people sitting up here behave according to the code of conduct and the people sitting out there do the same, we'll have civilized meetings, we won't have problems, and we won't have folks from the news coming here with their cameras because somebody tipped them off that it was going to be fireworks at a meeting. So, you know, that's all I've got to say. I mean, if we all just follow the code of conduct that we've already got, nothing needs to be changed, nothing needs to be upgraded. We just all need to follow the rules and everything will be fine.
Councilman Williams.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I did not do that gesture towards the entire crowd. It was to one person. But however, that can be seen as an embarrassment to the city staff, and the council. And for that, I apologize. I've already apologized in the city email. My last interview with Fox 2 News, I apologize. And I also want to apologize to my supporters and people who voted for me. That wasn't professional, but I have been getting heckled for over a year. Thank you.
Councilman Franklin.
Yes, ma'am. So I just wanted to provide some clarity as to what Councilman Cassoff said about 2025. If I recall, July 2024, there was a big blow up during a council meeting when I was not on council that involved David Williams and a particular individual from the community at the rec center. You might want to go back and watch those videos. So this started happening long before I was elected to office and long before, I guess, as you coined, my supporters started disrupting or whatever you said. The reality is, and my perspective currently, as it relates to the code of conduct for elected officials, which is separate from the code of conduct in our ordinances, we're in violation of page 6, page 10. It's clear as day. We're supposed to be professional at all times. No profanity, no speaking out of turn. That's with the public, with each other, and when we represent the city. So we are not following this thing by the letter of the law. And this will be my last statement. If we expect our residents to follow our rules, we have to follow them and set the example for the community at large. So it's cool to say, if we just follow the rules, everything will be fine. We have to actually live what we're speaking. And then the residents, in my opinion, will fall in line. But we can't just be dismissive and say, we're doing our job, when clearly, if you read this thing, we have not been doing that.
I believe that everyone is grown. And you are held responsible for yourself and no one else. You cannot make people do what is right. Everyone in here has been in a meeting where Robert Rules of Order is parliamentarian rules. I just left Jeff City 2 weeks ago chairing a meeting. It never escalates to the point that this has been escalating, because people have decided that they are going to do what they want to do, and irrespectful to what the mayor gavel does, they have decided that they're going to do what they want to do. And I'm going to say this again. I spoke with David. David just gave an apology. However, everyone has to govern themselves. And everybody talk about they want respect, but you got to give it in order to receive it. And the level of disrespect that comes from out there to up here is ridiculous. And I've been sitting here since 2015, and I have the most institutional knowledge of anyone sitting here. And the level of respect that we endured from 2015 until we wrote that bill to pass about the meeting decorum, it was horrible. And I see it escalating now. If you don't like somebody, that is your personal business. I know a lot of folk don't like me. I don't care. Get a ticket, stand in line. However, when it comes to this meeting, and when you hear that gavel, you're supposed to stop. Folk in that audience don't stop. People feel like they're being picked on up here. Some people are going to retaliate. Some people are going to get mad. If you keep picking at somebody and keep picking at somebody, they are going to get upset. No, everybody is not like me. I don't care what you say about me, Facebook and all. However, you cannot expect somebody to allow another person come up here and constantly badger them and say that nobody is following the code of ethics. I follow it. I do what the law required me to do. When I took an oath, the oath was to be the leader of this city and do what's necessary for this city. I can't make nobody else live up to their oath. That is an individual thing, but residents has a responsibility also. So how long do we have to endure? Is my question. If you want to feel like the council need to do something, then the audience need to, they need to be able to do something too. It takes two. It takes two. If they don't start picking at people, then nobody will feel like they're gonna have to use their emotions to get a person off them. That's all I have. The next item on here is update of investigation of the farm bomb events over city Zoom.
Yes, ma'am. So,
City manager.
yes, ma'am. We have talked to our insurance company, which we have a cyber insurance plan with. It was not really a bomb, it was more of a takeover of our Zoom. And it's kind of hard to defeat that. However, we did work with them to put the necessary steps in that we have today to stop that from happening. So the investigation, like they said, you're really not gonna catch these people. Because basically they've just taken over the whole thing, and like I would talk, it would pop up as me. If you would talk, it would pop up as you. So it would, whoever was talking, it took that person's spot. So it was more of just a takeover than, someone just getting in there. So it is hopefully corrected. We're trying our new system out tonight. But however, during the budget season, we said we were going to this anyway, and now it's the perfect time, and we should have no more excuses.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? Councilwoman Noah?
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'm glad that we did put something in place because when this initially happened in the Human Rights Commission meeting in March of 2024, when someone named Albert got online and harassed the commissioners and called us the N-word, and I mean, and I know we can't go backwards, but again, I'm just thankful that something is in place now because that was disturbing, and our meeting was hacked back then. But I'm glad that something is in place now. So that means that for community meetings, there won't be any more Zoom access through the city.
Yeah, so I'll let Octavia answer some of this. She really worked mostly on this. And so she has the whole plan. She'd probably tell everyone, more or less.
So to answer your question, no. So for neighborhood associations, we used to offer Zoom access, but a lot of times you don't have staff there. So no, we no longer provide Zoom access for neighborhood associations or any community type event or something like that. Unless there is a dedicated staff, that'll be there for each and every one of them.
However, like boards and commissions, we will have our Zoom, correct, Octavia?
So we have it available for boards and commissions for those that need it. But again, it's only for meetings that staff will be in attendance to.
Yep.
So
Okay.
some of our board and commission meetings don't actually, meet via Zoom. So, it's not a problem for them.
Councilman Cassoff?
If a board or commission doesn't have a staff member coming and is therefore not eligible for city Zoom, can they publish an agenda with a non-city Zoom and have a virtual meeting, or do board and commissions have to meet in person at all times from now on?
I don't know if we necessarily took the conversation that far. I think if it gets to a point to where there's something that a board or commission comes up and needs to have it, then I think we could probably try to make sure that we have someone available for it, if that's what you're asking. But if you're asking for something on a more permanent basis.
No, but I mean, sometimes they, like, if planning and zoning has one quick thing they've gotta consider.
Mhm.
And they need to get together for that vote for a 10-minute meeting, sunshine wise, if it's a virtual meeting, it's gotta be published.
I think we would prefer to make sure that anytime we did anything like that, we kept it in time.
The city would provide them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so and that's why I said if you have a situation like that, we would just try to make sure that we did everything that we could to make sure staff.
speak with the city clerk in advance. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
or you can speak to me if city clerk's not, then I'll make sure our staff is there.
Okay. Anything else about the new system that's being put in place? Okay, if not, I request a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it, we are adjourned. The regular meeting starts at 7:00 PM.